You know, in the days before we had live music here, we used to play the video and sing along with Pharrell to that same song. And I think it was something about that groove and the sound, and everybody really enjoyed that. And the idea of a room without a roof, blowing the roof off of this building was often an image that would come up in our visioning sessions. I think that the song has a pretty straightforward message. This is how I interpret it. I know what happy is, and I am that. So you can't bring me down. It doesn't mean that I can't be down. It means that you are not the source of my being brought down. That is a me and my happiness thing. That's inside. Now, hopefully most of us have had this, at least a few moments, in this place that Pharrell is talking about, where we are so happy in the moment with no restrictions whatsoever. Being able to find that sense of freedom, the one that I get when I think in terms of that, what I just defined, I know what my happy is and I am that. That's what I want to talk about and move us toward today. Now, music and musicians are actually a really cool example, an excellent example of the focus of today's talk, because after all, even at their peak of professional prowess, they're still playing, right? Musicians play, bands play, concerts are played. And while that terminology for musicians is kind of a fun idea and relates to this topic of playfulness, what's true is that for most of us, many of us, the aspects of our lives where we often have difficulty carrying out this attitude of playfulness or expecting to feel happiness and delight may be that part of life we refer to as our work or our jobs, right? Or for a musician, our performances, right? So imagine, for instance, we'll stay with music for a while. Imagine a classical piano student. He's going to have to do his recital. The teacher's going to be grading, and he has kind of two ways he could approach that. He could be excited for the opportunity to play in public, anticipating the beauty of the music flowing through, and excited about meeting the challenge. Or, in this case, let's have him be panicked, right? And what happens when the fear and the worry about the grade takes the place of the joy he usually has with music? The fingers get stiff. There's going to be some sweat, maybe. It's going to blur the view of the notes, and it's going to be difficult to even read the sheet music. That is not playing, and it's not a happy place. There's no flow happening through that student. Now, I don't mean to imply that our jobs, our work, are something negative, and yet we often perceive them that way, right? Oh, I got to go to work. Who says that excited? I got to go to work. Yeah, my job's killing me. We don't speak of that part of our life as positively as one might hope. And you thought we do emphasize that those are the ways that we get to create, that we get to express the creative thing that we are, the purpose that we have here on earth, or it's our way to participate in the flow of life. And that is also true, and that is also part of what we need to discuss. For a musical example, look at a jazz musician, for instance. Now, the jazz musician knows the scales, has practiced them, right? We talked about that last week. You've got to know the rules, and you have to practice. But now they get to play. If they hit a strange note, rather than having a panic, they don't stop. They just go off in the direction and improvise what that note led them to. They're allowing that flow to happen, and work is a happy place. So our objective is to live life like a jazz session and not like a rigid recital. Not rigid, not restrictive, not labor. We aren't all musicians, or we're not all tongue-tied today, but we're not all musicians, but I want to share an experience that kept coming up for me that kind of was an exemplar of this. And I've been in this similar situation many times in my life, so it's possible that some of you will share this. So here's the prototype. The prototype is you go to a seminar or a workshop or a training of some sort, and you get these wonderful new insights. Maybe you even get some lovely graphs or some grids or a system or something, and you know that this new stuff is going to rock your world, wherever that is. You're excited. You can't wait to take it back to the department that sent you, or the company, or your sales force, or into your personal life, or back to your family. Whatever you were in that training for, you're like, this is going to fix everything. Everyone is now going to be managed as perfectly and come to their full expressive power, and we're going to do wonderful things together. My manager's going to understand me and support me to be my very best. Our customers are going to love us and go out and tell the world. My kids are going to flourish. My closet's going to get organized. All right? Whatever the topic for that event. So here's mine. I attended a multi-day training at one of our CSLs in Chicago. The minister there and one of his congregants had created and developed a New Thought version of small groups for our New Thought centers. Now, if you have participated in a megachurch or you have read up on megachurches and things, they always have really well-supported and active small groups. It is a development and growth tool for churches. So it was exciting stuff, right? I wanted to learn, how are we going to put that in our place? So I am in a room that is filled with CSL leaders. There are ministers, there are board presidents, there are other people high up in their centers. We have got great music playing. It's taped when we're coming in the room, but they have some live musicians come in and play fabulous music. It's the first place I ever heard the song Amazing. There's hugs, there's love, there's reunions with people I've met at other gatherings. I mean, I am in my happy spot. And the model is so simple and so logical, and it looks like it's going to be really easy to implement. And as I spent more time with it, I get the context that this model makes it possible for everyone at every level to have the access they need at whatever level, and for everybody at every level to receive radical good care. And on top of all of that, I am staying in a convent with a good friend of mine, and we're up chattering all night. So, I mean, perfect place. I am really in it. The last day, we're talking about implementation, and one of the ministers says something to the effect, I came here last year, and I was so excited to get this started at my center. But then, there were people involved, and it never took off. There you have it. This is the real life example of the allegory we hear about all the time about the monk or hermit that lives up on the top of the mountain in the cave. And of course, that person can be wise and happy all the time. But the rest of us, we've got to go out there and navigate the intricacies of day-to-day life. And there are other people involved. You remember, who was at the Labyrinth walk, and that was Cheryl's thing. She said, this would be so much easier. All these other people weren't in the way. Right? So there are mouths to feed, there are schedules to make. You've got to pay the bills, you've got to please the boss, you're worried about the layoff possibility, and oh God, heaven forbid someone gets sick. And those are not even special tragedies, those are just our day-to-day concerns. To combat the way that feels, working through our life, there are rows and stacks of books about self-care. There are still bookstores, I've seen some. There are also TikTok millionaires in that same field talking about self-care, what to do. We seek diversions, we seek distractions. Another space that's full of TikTok influence. Wouldn't it be more efficient and more successful to be happy within the wholeness of our lives rather than looking for these momentary escapes? Wouldn't that be more efficient, more successful to be happy within the context of our day-to-day? Happy in the midst of all those people. Happy because there are challenges. Happy because we are navigating the obstacles. Happy because we're getting to seek and find this wonderful team to play with and learn with and challenge and train with. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, stated, "Life is a game, and we should play it with a zest, a joy, and an enthusiasm that makes every moment worth living." Every moment. He reminded us that the divine is not a grim judge. He's not the piano teacher looking for just any opportunity to take our grade down. It's a fountain. It's a fountain of constant flow, overflowing with abundance and joy. That's the nature of the divine. Now, last week we talked about there being these rules of life. Our thoughts are creative. And so our thoughts are that thumb that pushes the button on the game console and causes the character to jump, right? That's the effect. Cause, effect works all the time because that is what's coded into the universe. And the direct quote from last week was, "We have to be students of the game of our own lives and immerse ourselves in understanding the game in order to get from the life the maximum for the effort we're putting in." The effort's going in, good, bad, or indifferent. It's not easy. That's why we kind of, I gotta go. Because we are making the effort. Might as well get great results. And the game is played on the field of life, daily life, over and over. It's played through our families. It's played through our work. It's played through our relationships. It includes traffic jams and soccer practice and the slow checkout line and when you're in a hurry and the milk that spilled this morning that's the whole reason you're in a hurry in the first place. It's the family gatherings, it's the family arguments, it's the mopping and the pulling the weeds, it's the choosing and the not choosing, it's the whole package. Holmes said, "We should learn to be happy under all circumstances, knowing that the power within us is greater than any condition." Greater than any condition. Conditions, greatness. Conditions, greater power. The other rule last week was that we need other experienced players. Those who teaches us the skills, shows us the ropes, shares the insider wisdom, and who we challenge ourselves against. And we practice and we practice and we practice at ever-increasing levels of challenge. Now, since I noticed that musicians play, I should also comment that there are others who practice. Doctors practice. They practice medicine all their lives. Lawyers have practices. It's their business. CPAs practice. And we have official practitioners. It's in their name. Their name of what they are is what they do. They practice their spiritual skills. Since, and the part that we practice here, the part that we teach, are the spiritual practices. Those are the ones that shift how we're seeing the world, how we're reacting to the world around us. They're the ones that make our expectations and thus our experiences more positive. This is the inner work that gets us to the place where we started with that special music earlier. I know what happiness is and I am that. So you can't bring me down. Now, knowing what my happy is, my unique happy that I am here to experience, it looks different than yours, right? We each have our own unique experience. It's different than any influencer, and it is totally an inside job, totally happening within. Too many of us treat our spiritual practice like second jobs, with all the accompanying angst and negativity and attempts to avoid that we're talking about letting go of today. We sit in meditation and we're like, maybe we're gripping our knees or we're contorted uncomfortably, and we're really desperately trying to be holy and feel perfect in what we're doing. So we're like that classical music student, treating life like a high-stakes exam where God is just waiting to mark us down. But the reality is that spirit is full of joyful energy and it wants to express itself through us. I mean, look, the sunshine is joyful. Flowers and birds and puppy dogs. You're going to hear about dog next week. I don't want to go deep into dogs, but that had to be created by a joyful spirit, don't you think? Here's the biggest nugget of wisdom I have today. This is it. We've got to take this playful energy first to our spiritual practices before we can experience them outside ourselves. The first place we have to let go of the angst and the stress and the got-tos and find our happy is in our own spiritual practice. We have to develop what's working for us. And we have these we talk about cause and effect, that's our base rule, but there's some others. We talk about correspondence and mental equivalence. If we want to see it out there, it has to start here first. If we don't see it out there, it's not happening here. If we don't like what we're seeing out there, something needs to change. That's our mirror. It tells us what we are. That's what the whole body of our thought is about. It's out there to look at and determine, is this it? Are my practices getting me what I want, or are they not? When we realize that the universe is really just always responding to our joy, then our daily errands can become a game. The traffic jam, the difficult worker, the unexpected bill, these are not punishments. These are obstacles on an obstacle course designed to test our spiritual agility and help us show off our skills. Right? Sometimes we just need to see that we actually can do, that we actually can create. Recognize this is working. Recall from last week, we had the chess players and athletes we talked about. When a player finally knows the rules so deeply that they don't have to think about them, when they have practiced to the point that they already know the game, the strategy, the next action, and all of that comes automatically. Something that positive psychiatry calls flow state sets in. That's when something happens so beautiful. It's anxiety vanishes. It's pure, unadulterated play. Now, if you happen to have looked at your order of service, you will notice that God's synchronicity has made our closing meditation music a song called Flow. I'm going to spend the rest of this talk talking about flow. This did not happen because Jonathan and I communicated. It happened because synchronicity, right? So the concept of flow, officially from positive psychiatry, it is this. It occurs when someone is completely immersed in a task or activity to the level they are not aware of anything outside of the activity, including even the passage of time. And that's part of how you know. They also sometimes call this the zone. I'm in flow when I'm doing something and I don't even know how long I've spent doing it, and the results usually come with ease. And it leads to enhanced performance and satisfaction. Still with the psychiatry definitions, achieving a flow state requires a balance between skill level and challenge, mentoring and practice in the terms we've been using, and that fosters full engagement and motivation. Now, spiritually speaking, because here we are, the science of mind philosophy, Holmes defines flow as the continuous, unobstructed circulation of divine life, universal intelligence, and spiritual substance passing through human consciousness into physical manifestation. So where psychology sees it as a focus, Holmes views it as this metaphysical reality where the universe is forever moving in this rhythm. And we teach that the universe operates on that rhythm of giving and receiving. If you want to experience the flow of good, whether it's health, wealth, happiness, you have to actively participate in the circulation. If you start damming it up and don't let it through, it can't flow through us and out to others and back, so the circulation stops. And the quote that supports that is in the Living the Science of Mind book. The universe is forever flowing in an endless circulation of life, and we are part of that flow. Can't flow without us to flow through. But the degree to which we get to experience the flow depends on our consciousness of it. So it's not something you have to beg for. There's not an external God you have to ask to please allow you to be in the flow. You're in it. It's already there. It exists all the time. Nothing has to happen except our acceptance of it. But when we have the fear, the doubt, the idea that there's separation and lack, that's like mental dams or spiritual dams, however you are happiest thinking of that. And it constricts that divine flow. What we have to do to open the flow and to widen the channel is have a consciousness of love, wholeness, gratitude. All of that is what we come from, and joy. Joy. Let that be a base for all of that. It allows us to play our spiritual practices at a high level and enjoy the thrill of the obstacle course. So spirituality isn't meant to keep us locked away in a quiet room or a mountaintop cavern. It's meant to set us free, to be in the life we're in. It's designed to allow us to go dance in the streets, jump into the flow of the river of life, and have a good time. You know the rules. We talk about them here all the time. You know the rules. All you have to do is practice them and trust them. So here's what we do. This week, head out into Orlando and treat your daily routine as a play field, right? It's a playground. You're going to smile at the stranger, laugh off the minor inconveniences, enjoy the obstacles, embrace the fact that they're out there and you can handle them, and know that. And remember that the divine presence is right there with you, laughing and enjoying it right along with you. That's my truth for today. Thank you.
Thank you for spending this time with us on Spiritual Wisdom Weekly from the Greater Orlando Center for Spiritual Living. If this episode supported you in any way, we invite you to stay connected. Listen again, share it with someone you care about, or simply carry what resonated with you into your week. Until next time, take good care and keep growing in spirit.